Welcome, and thank you for joining us at Activate Live. I'm Charles Howard, Director of Enterprise Customer Success here at Iterable, joined by two incredible Iterable customers, Aspiration and Prose. In a recent study Iterable conducted on the subject of brand trust, we found that 79% of marketers surveyed said they plan to continue causes-driven campaigns in 2021, taking a stance on social issues like public health, racial and gender equality, LGBTQIA rights, and more. While we've seen more brands shift towards cause or mission-driven marketing than ever before, we want to hear from the brands who are putting their values and their mission front and center. Today, we have with us Guilhaum and Boris. So we'll hand it over first to Guilhaum. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Guilhaum. As you can hear in my accent, I'm French. I've been in the US for the last 4 years and most recently joined Prose 2.5 years ago. I'm leading the growth marketing team here at Prose. Just a few words maybe to introduce the company. So Prose is a beauty tech company. We are making hyper-customized hair care products. We're using only clean ingredients and natural ingredients. Everything starts with a very thorough consultation on the website. And based on this consultation, we create your very own hair profile. And based on this hair profile, we create your very own products as recommended for your use.
Awesome. And next, we'll hand it over to Boris.
Hi everyone, I'm Boris, Savoie-Doyer. I'm the head of CRM at Aspiration.com. I am born and raised and hailing from Quebec City, Canada, so an all French-speaking panel today. Luckily, it will be in English. Aspiration.com is the financial account that empowers you to clean your money of corruption and create positive change. The deposits and investments at Aspiration are certified free of fossil fuel and palm oil and the worst of human exploitation and unfair practices. You can plant trees with every card swipe. You can get automatic carbon offsets. When you gas up, you get an ethical score for one of your transactions, as well as an aggregate total ethical score for all of your consumption.
Well, thank you, G and Boris, for introducing yourselves and giving us a little background on your companies. So now let's jump into the questions. So we'll start with G. So what does it mean for Prose to be a mission-driven company?
Prose has been mission-driven since the beginning, and it's at the very core of what we are doing. Since we are creating customized products, and we are making those products when you order on the website, we don't bear stock as many traditional companies will do. So it's a much more sustainable approach than more traditional companies. Secondly, we obtained the B-Corp certification about 1.5 years ago. And everything that we do, every decision that we take is, I think, through the lens of the B-Corp certification. And for us, it means that we are focusing on 5 big pillars. The first one is our employees and workers. The second one is the community. Third one is the environment, and the fourth one is the governance, and the last one will be the customers. So every decision that we take is like through this lens of the B-Corp certification. Finally, there is also something that is very important at Prose, and it's written in one of our key value. It's business as a force for good. So what we try to do is that everything that we do as a business is meant with purpose and try to have an impact over the community.
Thank you, G. Boris, same question. What does it mean for Aspiration to be a mission-driven business?
Well, for us, it means turning actions that every account holder does every day and turn it into a world-changing, industry-disrupting move. Your morning shake plants trees. Your BLT fights climate change. Your IRA contributions help usher in a fairer world. This and that everyday action. It also means we only succeed when our customers do. So all of our accounts are on the revenue model that pay what is fair, which means that customers are empowered to choose the amount they want to pay Aspiration, even if that amount is zero.
Got it. So you brought up a good point, and it actually leads us into our next question, which I know both of you touched on. So we'll stay with you for this moment, Boris. Tell us more about your customers, because you did mention that your customers are kind of, for both of you, at the center of what you do. So tell us who your customers are and explain to us a little bit about them.
Well, our customers are first and foremost visionaries who took the leap before it went mainstream, who are able to see a financial world where the banks aren't just trying to, take as much as they can from their customers and actually don't invest in the worst of the worst. And even though that is still not the majority of banking nowadays, they want to not only believe that it's going to happen, but they want to be a part of it. So in that sense, they're visionaries, but they're also compassionate human beings who do care. And, they're moved by the corruption and the destruction brought about by industries like fossil fuels and Wall Street and their lobbyists. But that's not the only aspect of them. They're competitive customers who are here also because it's a good deal, because we try to give as much as we can to our customers and see how much we can get away with giving them instead of taking from them. That's the vision articulated by our CEO very, very clearly. And so, we do want to also be a good place for them to have a deal. And finally, they're clever individuals who can see right through any kind of scheme that can be thrown at them. And so they see past the big communication campaigns of all these industries, and they're like, yeah, but, something's still wrong here. And so, we have to market to them accordingly.
Thank you for that answer. G, same question. Who are the customers of Prose?
The customers of Prose are, first of all, I think, conscious consumers who are interested into buying products from a sustainable brand, using clean products, natural ingredients. And also they want to find a product that will cover all their needs. And this is why I think Prose is interesting to them. Technically, since we are doing customized product, we are capable of covering any needs. And so we have a very important diversity of customers, from very straight hair to very curly hair, from very short hair like mine to very long hair. And so we can cover everyone needs. Having said that, we still skew a bit more over a more female audience with a slightly higher older demographic, I would say.
Interesting. That's really, really important there, especially being able to know specifically who your customer is and the demographic. Unfortunately, I have no hair, so I'm not necessarily able to to get in on the goodness. With that, let's move into the next question, and we'll stick with UG. There are some critics who say that, being mission driven and being, having a brand that focuses on things that are important, some critics believe that that's not necessarily as important as items that they can get cheaper or faster or more convenient. So when you're looking in that situation, what is your response to that? How do you reason that with those individuals in the market who say that it doesn't really matter about the mission as long as people can get things faster and cheaper?
The way we look at it is that it's not really antinomical, if I may say, to do business and have a mission. And we can prove it at Prose because what we do is fundamentally very different from the traditional industry and much more sustainable. So we feel that the more business we do, the better it will be for the community and and on the society, because the model that we have is much more sustainable. And in that way, this is something that we try to reconcile, having a mission and being business driven. We are not a non-profit company for sure, but what we do is made with intention and with a purpose, and this is something that is really important to us. So yeah, I think that it's a bit old-minded to think that you have either the choice to buy something cheap, made far from your country, and that will be cheap, and to have something that is caring for the environment, caring for the society, and also not too expensive and good for yourself. So this is something that we are trying to do at Prose.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of those critics don't necessarily pay attention to, is that sustainability piece and the importance of individuals being able to know where their products come from. Boris, let's hand it over to you. What are your thoughts?
Completely second what Guilhaum just said. It's not an either or anymore. It's all of the above. So, for example, like customers come to us because they know or they are learning that their money is probably dirty somewhere else. Few people know this, but at night your deposits that you think are not invested are swept into investments, short-term investments that usually go to things like fossil fuels and very very bad industrial projects that have a negative environment and human impact, and you think it's just sitting there in your bank account, but it's not. And we offer these certified fossil fuel free and firearms and a bunch of other terrible things. Like it's not just about the environment, but for us to have found a banking partner that was able to certify this was difficult, which shows how widespread this practice is. And so we like to offer them a chance to boost their personal and collective prosperity, which to us go hand in hand. And so that's also one of our unique value props. And we allow them to boost their individual impact. Everyone wants to have an impact, but when you're in a collectivity that does the same, you just see a bigger effect, and that's a sense that you can get the best of both worlds. We're setting a new standard in terms of fairness and trust, and we hope that the industry is going to follow, because one thing that we are sure of is that the customers, that is what they want, especially the newer customers. So I think it's about discovering the concept of clean finance. Well, first of all, the concept of dirty finance, then the concept of clean finance, and wanting to join a collective force for good, all for something that makes financial sense for them.
That's good. And it also leads us into our next session, which is we're going to get a little bit more into the tactical. So, G, how does being a mission-driven brand influence the way you engage and market to your current customers as well as potential customers that are out in the market?
So we also try to have a very sustainable approach when it comes to marketing. And we try not to blast everyone with a lot of communication. At Prose, everything starts with the consultation. And so we see it more as a conversation that we start with the customers on the website, where we ask them a lot of questions around their hair, but also their lifestyle, where they live, etc. And we ask that's not just to have information, it's just because we use this information to build your product and to make efficient product for you. So the way we think about marketing and communication is also to continue this conversation outside of the website by having emails, SMS that will continue this conversation. There is something that we launched about a year and a half ago as well. It's called a Review and Refine. This is proprietary to Prose, and this is another consultation that we do after you used your first product, where we are going to ask you about the feedback you can give from your first use of the product. And based on this feedback, we can continue the conversation. And to us, it means like building another version of your product that will be even better than the first one. So what we try to do is to really integrate this relationship in this conversation into every step of the customer journey, from the ads to the websites to the emails to also your the box that you will receive at home. And this is, I think, very important in the way we talk to the customer and in the way we try to be sustainable and not to blast everyone with promotions or product launches. We try to adapt to what the customer needs and to what will be interesting to the customer as well.
Thank you, G. Boris, let's move over to you. So how does this question affect you when you're looking at it from how does being a mission-driven brand influence how you engage and market your customers currently and your future customers as well?
Well, we try to move away from the markety voice, and we try to have a more uplifting and ambitious voice, where we're trying to show the horizon and what can be done to change. The theory of change, of showing how it has happened, it is happening, it will happen. That's one of the first things to say there. But the other aspect of it is that because we are talking about ambitious goals and lofty objectives, it's important to bring down what every individual can do, on a daily basis. Because if it's just this huge fight, people feel powerless, and sometimes I feel like in the environment advocacy, that is always that fine line that people walk. Like, you don't want to discourage people too much, you want to alert them at the same time. I feel like there's a little bit of that when for any major cause like human rights and women's rights and so on. And so you don't want to say fossil fuels are a collective existential threat. You want to say take down fossil fuels one swipe at a time, because it will come from a clean account and it will plant a tree. And this is something I can do. I can swipe my card. I don't think I can take down the entire fossil fuel industry, but I can certainly swipe my card with Aspiration. Instead of saying pay so much dollars to fight climate change, first of all I'm paying, and second of all I'm fighting, and second of all it's climate change. These things are disempowering. We'll rather say something like change the world and receive cash back. Well, like there already change is a better verb and it's more empowering, and it's what's in it for them as well. You can create a world free of fossil fuels. I can't do that by myself, but I can say your club sandwich can support clean energy. And even though it's a little funny, it still brings it down to hey, this is an everyday thing, and I can do these things. So I think that's where part of the secret lies.
As we're looking at, especially when we're talking about engaging the customers and letting them be aware of your mission and being mission driven, we know that loyalty is also really connected to like emotion, how people feel. So being a mission driven company, how do you think that influences that, Boris? How do you think that emotional connection and that loyalty influences being a mission driven company?
It is so important, and our customers are so passionate. They write back to us, and they are so invested in this. It means a lot to them. It's really like not a gimmick, and it's not this thing that you just like say you do. Living up to your mission is one of the most important things when you're a mission based company. You have to show them with every major hire, every new product launch that you are staying true to the mission. You're embodying it, because that is why they're there for the most part. For us, it's at the center of the user experience. Like, they are there because they care, which is a feeling, and it's not just like nickel and dimes and counting, but like that also has to add up correctly. But it's in another dimension, which really needs to be at the center of the focus. And the way you do that is in every piece of communication needs to start from the recipients, work your way back to their needs or desires, and then think about how you can help them. And like, I feel like I'm on a mission, personal mission maybe, but like I want to change the entire way we market in general, where it's like product find audience. I want to go, every individual person comes in and like, let's find what product is good for that person. And it's a difficult thing to do, because the easy thing to do is take the product and try to find an audience, just like blast as much as you can. If you reverse it, you're going to need data, you're going to need machine learning, but it's here. So I think, in the next few years, brands are going to be successful are going to be the ones that really communicate. For every piece of communication, start from the customer and work their way back to the product, not the other way around.
All right, thank you, Boris. Let's toss it over to you, G.
Yeah, and I think that it will be very similar to what Boris just said. I think that loyalty starts with good products, but that's not enough. It needs to be the good product that is made for your needs, your very own needs. And so by essence, what we are doing at Prose with this hyper customization is that we are making sure that every customer will get the best product possible for their needs. But as I was saying, it's not sufficient, and more I think that customers are looking for brands that show that they care about them and about their community and about their values. And this is something that we are trying to develop more and more at Prose, trying to show how we care to the customers. It starts with this idea of having a conversation with them very regularly, starting with the consultation, with all the emails we are sending, and as I was saying, with the review and refine functionality. But it goes even beyond, and we have a lot of very strong reviews from customers that says how our product changed their lives. It's very interesting to see how passionate people are about the products that they are using and how it had made an impact. And this is something that we care a lot about, something that we share also internally. We have a lot of more like customer service. Every time we have great stories from customers, sharing that to the entire company. And this is something that we do every Friday. So today I'll receive the newsletter from the customer service team, and something that I know the company loves to see how we can impact the customers. Just to finish, I think that also one very important value at Prose is caring. This is something that we have put into our main values. Not only caring about the customers, but also caring about employees, the person you manage. And this is something that I think irradiates from the brand towards the customers, and this is the main value of the company.
Let's stay with you for a second, because this is probably my favorite question as being a marketer at heart. So, what are some of your best, favorite, or top performing campaigns that you actually run at Prose? Because I know sometimes at different levels in organizations and even with the customers, everybody has a different understanding or a different opinion of what a top or best performing campaign is. But from your perspective, what's one of those top or best performing campaigns?
My favorite campaign will be the welcome campaign. So this is a series of about 20 emails that we are sending when someone join Prose. And it's, I think, really the occasion for us to continue the discussion we started on the website. So it's a prolongation of the consultation of the 25 questions we sent with very useful content that is personalized. And so it's for us, I think, the opportunity to show to the customers that we have a very different approach from other companies, and that what they have seen on the websites, what they see in their products is continuing over emails and over SMS. And so I think this is maybe not the best performing one in terms of revenue, since it's a welcome campaign and people have already bought from us. But I think this is one of the most interesting ones. And this is also the occasion for us to have a very diverse approach and a very personalized approach. And so this is what I really like into this campaign.
Yeah, having a welcome series with 20 touches definitely will allow you to get a lot of personalization in there and learn a lot about the customers. So I think I'm going to have to check that one out. What about you, Boris? What is your top performing campaign, your favorite, the one that you hold nearest and dearest to your heart?
Yeah, I'm also definitely going to sign up for that welcome series. I always look for inspiration for the welcome series. It's always good news when your favorite campaign is the most important one. So it must be you're doing your job really well. One of my favorite campaigns is the monthly tree report that we send to our customers. We have this function, Plant Your Change, where every time you swipe your card, you get to plant a tree. And we send it to people who did plant trees with the option Plant Your Change. But we also send it to customers who didn't plant a tree or don't have the option, and we send it to leads as well. And the result is that customers who haven't yet planted trees start planting trees. And leads convert, and the customers that do plant trees keep planting trees. Everyone, it's just a positive email. It's good looking, and we get a lot of good reviews for it, because people are like, "Hey, I planted 3 trees last month, but look, we're at 4.4 million trees planted, and that's like in the first year of existence of the program." So it's just altogether good, and just once again shows you your individual impact and the collective impact. And but the other one I was pretty proud of was on my first week at Aspiration. That's like 4 years back. We were trying to break the code of the upsell to the investment product, because we have these investment funds that are certified free of all the bad things and still have comparable growth to like the market. And they were like, "We can't figure this out." And like, "When are you sending it?" They were like, "Well, we're sending it Tuesday, because that's like it's a good day to send emails." I'm like, "Yeah, but like probably not an investment email. Like, do you think people are going to take the time to look at your annual rate of yield and compare it to the industry and do their market research? Try it on Sunday morning. And people are like, Sunday morning? But who emails on Sunday morning? I'm like, exactly. You're going to be one of the only emails in the inbox. People are going to there with their morning coffee, and they're going to have the time. And so we sent it on the first Sunday, and then the next Monday, the guy managing the fund's like, "What did you guys do? Like, we had our biggest day." And we tried like after that to see if it wasn't a fluke, but no. Sunday morning is just when people take the time to think about their investments. So I mean, it's part of like putting yourself in your customer's shoes.
Exactly. I think for even myself personally, Sunday morning is when I look at the investments, when I look at what's out there, because the rest of the week we're all looking at other emails. So anything financial before we get back into the grind Monday through Friday, Sunday does seem like a perfect day to send those out. All right, as we're wrapping up, let's jump into the last question here. So, marketers as a whole are more tuned in than ever to the importance of cause-driven marketing and building authentic connections with their customers. But we also know that some companies, it doesn't come from the top down. And so a lot of marketers do run into the difficulty of pushing those cause-driven messages. So what advice do you have, Boris, for those customers as far as being able to, or those marketers, as far as being able to still be able to drive those cause-driven messages, but also being able to relate that upwardly inside of a company to their executive team and show them the importance of that?
I mean, the number one advice to me is use empathy. And I got good news and bad news. And the bad news is that empathy is a really hard skin to unlock. The good news is that marketers, whether they realize it or not, use empathy by asking themselves constantly, is this the right message? Is this the right audience? Is this the right time? Is this the right, all these questions that really, in fact, asking themselves how the customer feels. And so, yes, it may take work, but it's worth doing. And when I think of what happened during COVID in terms of a lot of like the online marketing space, it forced transformations that were, first of all, long overdue, and second, that are here to stay. So it's a lot more than prefacing your mails with like, in these trying times, or like in these times of challenges, and then hard selling them. Everyone had to walk a little bit away from the hard sell, and I think it's part of what we need to do. People don't like being told to buy now and do all these things, so you just have to be a little bit more careful, and I think that's a good thing that should stay. But at the end of the day, if you want to build a strong relationship with your customers, you got to know what they're thinking, and you're never going to guess what they're thinking. You really got to ask them. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of polls and surveys, because number one, they're a source of inspiration. If you may think that asking your customers what they think is going to be a repository for pretty bad comments, I think you'd be surprised. Every time we do a survey, even on things that we think we're not doing well, we get these super inspiring messages like have a other, please specify, or have a space where they can write, not just like answer yes no. And you'll be first of all a treasure trove of information on how to speak to them and what to speak to them about, but also maybe an inspiration you'll find yourself. I see how highly they think of you, and even the act of asking people their opinion is a strong engagement tactic. I'm not even saying do it because it's good for engagement, but it is a good thing. Like, one of the side effects is that people are going to feel more invested. Someone who answers a poll then wants to stick around to see, like, are you going to make that change? Because why else would I answer the poll? And so one of the most important places to put it is at the end of a life cycle, at the very minimum, when you're about to give up on someone. Don't just give up. Like, send them a poll and say, or a survey, and ask them, what could we have done better? What was the biggest source of annoyances? And be honest and offer like the things that you think are the biggest, pain points in your process, and give them space to express themselves. And that's, how you're going to get to what they want to do. And, to take a little bit of common knowledge in business, they're going to want you to do the hard thing, not the fun thing that you can jam in like the next two sprints, the one that is transformative and is painful. And have to do it now, but at least you have a blueprint, and like use your customers like vision of your company too, and you're not going to be disappointed.
Thank you for that knowledge and insight, Boris. G, let's hand it over to you to round us out.
Yeah, so the advice that I will give would be first to be authentic and to be transparent. So at Prose, we know that we are not perfect, that we could be better, and this is something that we share very openly with the customers, with the employees, with everyone, so that there is no lie and there is no pretend to be. We know that we still have some efforts to make in terms of like sustainable packaging, but we are facing some interesting challenges when it comes to changing the bottles that we are using. And so this is something that we are pretty transparent about, and this is something important for us to be authentic with the customers. The second one is to be to stand for what you believe in, your personal values, but also the values of the company, and to be vocal about it. And on that, I have a very recent example where it was in January, on the 21st of January, we posted something to celebrate the inauguration of Kamala Harris as the first non-white man vice president in the US. And for some reason, we had some comments on Instagram saying, "Oh, I don't understand why you are taking position on the politics of the country." It was not a matter of politics. It's just that at Prose, we believe in inclusivity, and it was just for us a way to celebrate inclusivity, to just like acknowledge the fact that someone has been nominated as the first woman of color at the vice presidency of the United States. And this was something for us that we wanted to celebrate. And so it doesn't matter if someone is a hater and doesn't like it, but for us it was important. It's part of the value. Inclusivity, it's very important. And so we don't care if we lose a few customers down the road that doesn't align with our values, because this is what we are, this is who we are, and these are the values that we want to share with our customers.
Thank you, G. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. I wish we had more time. We can probably talk about this for another 30, 45 minutes. But G, Boris, thank you very much. It's very apparent that both of you are doing amazing work, and you'll continue to do that in the future. Everybody else, thank you for joining us for this panel, and please continue to join us during Activate Live.